downtown Denver's office vacancy just hit its highest point since the 1980s oil bust, and at the same time, a billion-dollar project just broke ground in Cherry Creek. The team behind Union Station is betting big on one of Denver's strongest neighborhoods. So let's break down what they're building and what it could mean for property values. And I'll share some thoughts on the future of downtown Denver at the end of this video. Before we dive into what's happening here, I want you to imagine two office markets in the same city. One has space sitting empty for years, and the other barely has a vacant suite available at almost any price point. That's Denver right now. By the end of 2025, Cherry Creek North's office vacancy was about 1.3%. Downtown Denver was getting up to 29%, and in some of the older downtown buildings, vacancy was closer to 38%. And these two parts of town are just a few miles away from each other. Same city, same moment, but different realities. And it's not just office space. Cherry Creek retail vacancy is sitting around 1.9%. The president of the Cherry Creek Alliance said there's nothing in America like what's happening in Cherry Creek North right now, and I tend to agree. It's a strong statement, but when you look at the numbers, you can see why. A developer can come in, buy land, build an office building, finance it, lease it, and open it here at a time when new office construction has stopped in much of the country. CBRE's 2026 Denver Market Outlook points to the same thing. New office construction in this metro is expected to stay focused in Cherry Creek for the foreseeable future. New Class A buildings here are looking at rent growth close to 5% this year, and the rest of the metro is closer to 1 or 2%. Now, for new top-tier space, rents are pushing towards $60 a square foot. That puts Cherry Creek among the highest office rent markets in the country. And when we get to what this has done to property values in the neighborhood, the numbers move in one clear direction, so stick around for that. Now, this didn't happen overnight. It's been building for most of the last decade as tenants, capital, and retail have moved out of downtown and into Cherry Creek. The pandemic just sped all of that up. With remote work, downtown's commute-driven model has weakened. And the companies that did come back wanted newer buildings, walkable streets, and better amenities. Cherry Creek West is what happens when developers and capital see a clear trend and they decide to plant a flag. It's $1 billion of conviction going into a neighborhood that's already operating close to full occupancy. Quick note, if you're thinking about buying in this sub-market, I work with buyers and sellers in Cherry Creek North every day. My office is based in Cherry Creek North. I can give you a clear read on where your equity stands or what the right entry point looks like right now. My contact info is in the description below. All right, let's get back into the video. Before we talk about what they're building at Cherry Creek West, you need to understand what makes Cherry Creek overall different in the first place. Cherry Creek North has been exploding. Cherry Creek West is the new expansion. If you walk through Cherry Creek North on any afternoon, it just doesn't feel like the rest of Denver. The storefronts are glitzy, well-maintained, the sidewalks are wide, people are using them, and the restaurants, the ones where you need a reservation on a Wednesday night, they are packed. That's not a vibe. That's a decade of momentum showing up in real time, and the numbers back it up. Cherry Creek North's office vacancy, again, at the end of 2025 was about 1.3%, retail vacancy sitting just under 2%. You've got more than 450 places to shop, eat, or get services across roughly 16 blocks, so a ton is packed into a relatively small corner of town. This is the highest concentration of locally owned stores in Denver, plus you have boutique hotels, fine dining, galleries, lots of art galleries, Cherry Creek is known for this, and fitness studios. And anchoring the whole area to the south of Cherry Creek North is the Cherry Creek Shopping Center. That's the big mall home to Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, Louis Vuitton, Tiffany, the premier luxury retail destination across the Rocky Mountain region. And when we talk about nothing like this happening across the country, the numbers really do back it up. And you're seeing these wealth management firms, tech companies, financial services groups paying close to now $90 a square foot in some places in rent. They're choosing Cherry Creek for a reason. It signals something bigger. So that's great for Cherry Creek North. But here's the constraint. Developers are running out of room. Cherry Creek North is on its way to being built out. There won't be a ton of space left to expand within the existing footprint. Cherry Creek West is what happens when a neighborhood has nowhere left to go but up. It's a $1.8 billion project on the southwest side, right next to the mall, built on land that was recently cleared to make way for the next phase of Cherry Creek. Now, before we get into what they're actually building at Cherry Creek West, you need to understand what makes this neighborhood worth a billion-dollar bet in the first place. And when we get to property values later, I'll show you why that vibe turns into something owners and buyers need to understand before the market fully prices it in. All right, so a little over a year ago, if you drove down First Avenue or University Boulevard, you were probably pulling into the parking lot for Elway's Steakhouse, a very popular restaurant. It's been there for more than 20 years. You had a running store next door. You had, this smaller shopping complex next to the restaurant. Now all of that is gone, and in its place, you're getting several new buildings across 4 city blocks. 4 residential buildings and 3 office buildings. When Cherry Creek West is finished, it's expected to include about 840 residences, including condos and townhomes. The first 3 buildings are targeting completion by late 2029, and that includes 1 8-story office tower and 2 13-story residential buildings. So home, work, food, fitness, and daily needs are all going to be within 10 minutes walking or biking from where you live. And that site plan was laid out by landscape architects first, and then the buildings were designed around that public space. And I think that order will be very noticeable when it's all said and done. The open space, pedestrian flow, and trail connections were all locked in first, which is very Colorado. I love this focus on the outdoor space, even in a very urban environment. Then they'll build vertical. All of that residential and office I mentioned earlier will pop up all around it. Just for perspective, nearly half of the buildable area is planned for parks, plazas, and those trail connections that leak back into the Cherry Creek Trail that you probably know so well if you live in the area. And if you spent much time on that trail, you know it seamlessly connects you to downtown and many other Denver neighborhoods. And when we talk about what's next in the pipeline, there's another redevelopment breaking ground just across the street back into Cherry Creek North. We'll cover that in just a moment. Now, if you own a home or luxury condo in Cherry Creek North, this is a meaningful tailwind for your equity. And if you're a buyer thinking about getting into this market, just know that prices will very likely be on the rise once the full build out is here. The project doesn't fully deliver until later this decade, and the surrounding neighborhood is already starting to price in that transformation. Cherry Creek is not a cheap place to live. You get what you pay for. Cherry Creek West is being built by some of the most experienced developers in the game, so you know this is the sign of real growth. This development team has already done the hardest version of this job once before, right here in Denver. The developer is East West Partners. They're Denver-based. They were founded in 1986, and they've developed and sold over $7 billion in real estate since then. This is the same firm that master planned and built out Denver's popular Union Station neighborhood. That's a very challenging urban redevelopment project in modern Denver. Think about what Union Station was when they started. You had a kind of a vacant historic train station surrounded by surface parking lots in a part of town most Denverites were just not spending much time in. And over the next 15 years, it became a real destination. The hotel within the actual Union Station, the restaurants, the bars, the retail, the residential condo and apartment towers, all built around that restored 1914 train terminal. Cherry Creek West is being developed by the same team, the same city, and now an evolved playbook. But this time they're applying it to a neighborhood that's running close to full office occupancy, unlike the struggling downtown. That makes the risk profile different from Union Station at the beginning and a lot more favorable. The construction joint venture is Mortensen and Saunders, 2 of the most respected builders in Colorado, and office leasing is being handled by Cushman and Wakefield. I only add that to say the heavy hitters are here to do it right. It's a proven Denver team, documented results, fully capitalized, already moving dirt in the most in-demand submarket in the state. But why is all of this capital continually choosing Cherry Creek over downtown? If you had $1 billion to put into Denver commercial real estate right now, downtown probably would not be the first place you'd put it. Downtown is just not what it used to be, and we all hope that gets turned around. But when the largest office towers in downtown are entering foreclosure and vacancy in some types of office space is getting close to 40%, you know the recovery path is just at the beginning. It's going to take years for downtown Denver to come back to life. The answer that major developers and institutional investors keep coming back to is Cherry Creek. And the reasons are not just about style, they're structural. Cherry Creek has the walkable streets, the retail, the nice restaurants, and the daily services that companies need if they want people to come back to the office by choice. The same things that make someone want to walk to lunch, grab coffee, or pick up dry cleaning on the way home are the things that make an office neighborhood work. Cherry Creek has had that for years. Downtown, on the other hand, is still carrying tens of millions of square feet of older office space that a lot of tenants just don't want anymore. In fact, there's lots of talk right now about converting some of these office buildings downtown into residential spaces, but that's for another video. Downtown is also dealing with a commute model that changed when remote work became normal. Downtown was built around the idea that workers would come in every day by train or bus or car. That assumption broke down in 2020, and it just still hasn't fully come back. Then there's the vibe. As we covered earlier, Denver is a casual city, and Cherry Creek feels much more elevated for the companies paying top-of-market rents, wealth management firms, private equity groups, and tech companies trying to attract talent. That matters. You want to be able to go outside of your office building for a nice work meeting and feel like it's upscale. Cherry Creek sends a signal. Their clients feel it when they walk in. Their employees feel it when they come to work. And the people living 2 minutes from Matsuhisa's Sushi, one of the best in the state, you feel it. And that's one of the biggest reasons this market has moved the way it has. I don't see that reversing anytime soon. We're watching a generational shift in where Denver's commercial center of gravity sits, moving from downtown to Cherry Creek. Return to office activity hit its highest post-pandemic level in early 2026, and some of the distressed downtown towers are being converted into housing, as I mentioned. So this is not to say that downtown is completely dead, but downtown's path forward looks more like residential recovery than a return to commercial dominance. And that change is what makes the property value so compelling. The billion-dollar construction bet is interesting, but what it does to the homes and the condos already around it, that's the part that really probably matters to you watching this video. Cherry Creek home values are already sitting in the low to mid $1 millions across the broader area. And when you look into Cherry Creek North specifically, the luxury condo market is even sharper. In 2025 and into 26, we saw sales above $2 million as a regular occurrence. That included a $10 million penthouse at The Laurel on Steel Street, a very well-known building. 5280 Magazine's 2026 Best Neighborhoods ranking put the neighborhood average closer to $1.8 million once you account for the higher-end activity that drives this market. Now add Cherry Creek West on top of it, you're bringing in hundreds of new residences, 600,000 square feet of new office space, and a redesigned public realm in a neighborhood that's already running near full occupancy. Plus, it has some of the strongest retail in the country. With all of that comes more demand, better amenities, a neighborhood that feels more complete, and in an already tight market that tends to push the numbers in one direction. For a homeowner in Cherry Creek North, this is a very positive sign for the future of your equity. And if you're a buyer, just know that Cherry Creek is about to level up in terms of what it offers and how much it costs. If Cherry Creek West were the only major project breaking ground right now, it would still be a big story. But it's not even the only one within a couple of blocks. Directly across First Avenue back into Cherry Creek North, BMC Investments is redeveloping the Clayton Lane property and rebranding it as Cherry Lane after demolishing the old Sears and the Crate and Barrel buildings next to Whole Foods. So on both sides of First Avenue, you have two major redevelopments going up at the same time, and it doesn't stop there. The broader Cherry Creek pipeline, additional office buildings, hundreds of new residential units across multiple projects. It's the busiest in the entire metro area right now. The whole neighborhood is doubling down at once. By the time Cherry Creek West fully delivers around 2033, this corner of Denver is going to look fundamentally different from the way it does today. And the surrounding neighborhood is already starting to price that in. So if you own here or you're thinking about getting in, the window to get ahead of this build-out is closing. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about. Cherry Creek West is a confirmation of where this market is heading. The neighborhoods that are going to win over the next decade are the ones where daily life works. And that conviction is $1 billion deep and already in the ground. So if you're a buyer or owner in Cherry Creek and you want to understand how this build-out timeline affects your position, feel free to reach out. You can email me, ryan@ryanhaarer.com today. I work in this market every day. I go to work in this market every day, and I can give you a clear read on timing, pricing, and what you should be watching. And if you want to see what's transforming the rest of Denver, the same way Cherry Creek West is reshaping this corner, I've linked a video covering other major projects across the metro. That's the one to watch next. I'll see you there.